Hello everyone and welcome to the London Chess Classic. After a rest day we go into round 6 and this appears to be a game of blunders. It's not just me who is blundering today in my rapid games, but also the top players it would seem. So we're going to show two games in this video, or rather this game we're going to show to its fullest, and the Michael Adams game we are only going to show the end, the game he played against Gilles Moussard, as he's the leader of the tournament, and it does depend a lot for him, but also for Gukesh if he wants to qualify for the candidates tournament. And then tomorrow probably I will cover the you know which game I'm talking about. Now let's check out this one. Gukesh with the white pieces faces off against McShane, a very strong player. He's known to be the world's strongest amateur player, as even though some 10 years ago he was even a 2700 player, incredibly strong, and he also can be considered a prodigy. He got his grandmaster title at the age of 16 back in 2000, and that was quite a huge deal. But he does have other, point of interest and other work aside from just playing chess. But that being said, let's check it out, as this is a pretty wild game. So Gukesh has the white pieces. He opens with d4, knight f6. We have pawn to c4, e6, and now knight to f3. We have pawn to d5 and knight to c3. We have bishop to e7 and now c captures on d5. So just a queen's gambit decline, fairly normal stuff here. E captures, bishop to f4, and now pawn to c6. So defending on d5, pawn to e3, and now bishop to f5. Again, very standard stuff here. The exchange variation of the queen's gambit declined, knight to h4 going after the bishop, bishop to g4 attacks the queen, and now queen to c2. We have knight b to d7 and pawn to h3 going after the bishop here, bishop back to e6, and now knight back to f3. And the position has been reached before, interestingly, between Parham Makhsoudlu and Michael Adams, the same gentleman playing in this tournament, leading the tournament that was played last year in Bundesliga, and Makhsoudlu won this game with the white pieces. But in that game, Adams continued with knight to f8. However, here we have rook to c8 by Luke, and it is now, as of move 11, that we have a completely new game. So maybe it's sort of an English variation of how to play this. We have bishop to e2 and now pawn to g6. And interestingly now, only after pawn to g6 does Gukesh bring the bishop over to d3, which looks very odd. But Gukesh, of course, knows what he is doing. We have castles, and now knight to h5, going after Gukesh's bishop here. Bishop to h6 and knight to g7. Now defending this way, knight to e2 and now rook to e8. We have pawn to g4, stopping pawn to f5 by Luke. And now pawn to c5. When your opponent expands on the king side, it is very principled to strike in the center, and you also have the queen on c2, so that makes it helpful. So d captures on c5, knight captures on c5, and now knight to f4. Not worried about any discoveries, as you don't really have any. If you capture the queen, captures knight coming to e4 isn't all that spectacular. But here we have bishop to f6. A bit more precise is bishop to d7, as it directly stops Gukesh's next idea. So bishop to f6 and now bishop to b5, attacking the rook. And while you could still block it with bishop to d7, Luke just brings the rook back to f8. And okay, rook 8 to b1. Now you can, you don't have to worry about advancing the b pawn. The rook will not hang on a1. Queen to b6. Attacks the bishop, and now queen to e2, defending and also sidestepping the rook on the c file. We have rook f to d8, and now knight to d4. Defends and attacks on e6. We have knight to e8, and now rook f to d1. Just mobilizing pieces on optimal squares. We have knight to d6, attacking the bishop here, and bishop back to d3. We have knight d to e4, centralizing the knight, and bishop back to c2. We have pawn to a5, grabbing more space on the queen side, king to g2, and now queen to c7. We have knight d capturing on e6. Some traits occur here. F captures on e6, so the queen also helps out with the defense of the king. And now bishop captures on e4. We have d captures on e4, offering a rook trade, but rook b to c1 first, saying that, okay, if you capture, I'm going to capture with the queen and keep the pin here. So rook captures on d1, but now queen captures on d1 and queen to c6, nicely aligning with the queen with the king here. b3, preparing a3 and b4, and now rook to d8, attacking the white queen, queen to e2, and now pawn to b6. We have pawn to a3. Now you have to be very careful. If b4 lands, you're going to lose that knight. So queen back to d7, and now queen to c4. And here, okay, there are a couple of moves you could play. You could try going after the a3 pawn with something like bishop to b2. You could play queen to f7, sort of set up a defensive perimeter around this e6 pawn. But not Luke. He goes for knight to d3, attacks the rook, and just wants to eliminate one of the attackers that will come with tempo. But Gukesh plays rook to d1, and now look at this. Now king to f7 is the best move here, but Luke played knight captures on f4. This comes with check, and it looks like you're also winning a rook, but not really. This move just loses you the game. Gukesh happily takes this, and now look at this. Luke's queen is hanging here, and there's no good move here. If you capture, then queen captures on e6 with check. Only move king h8, queen captures here, and now once the king moves, this will be checkmate. So after e captures on f4, queen to e8 was played to guard the e6 pawn, but now of course you know what happens. Just rook captures on d8, and now you're probably thinking, but okay, maybe we can capture with the bishop. Well, yes, but if you capture with the bishop, then queen to d4 threatens checkmate, and you don't have a good move. If you move the queen, then again you lose the bishop here. So Luke tried queen captures, Luke tried bishop captures, but it doesn't help. Queen to d4 was played, and now just pawn to e5, stopping that queen to g7 checkmate. Queen to d5 check first, and now only now after king to h8, f captures on e5 was played, and he was in this position on move 41 that Luke resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. You have a beautiful pass pawn, you're up a pawn, but more than that, there just aren't any useful moves here. To give you an example, let's say you play something, you don't even have to rush this. You can first defend your pawn, like you can play a4, and now you're really out of moves here, like bishop c7, you're just going to capture here, or you don't even have to do that. You can play pawn to e6 first, and only if black decides to trade. Now you play queen captures, you allow a few checks, but that's it. After king to e2, there's really nothing here, like queen captures. Even this on h6, you can advance the pawn. Now the other queen comes into the game, and very quickly you can checkmate the black king. Only one of the possibilities. Now, this is what happened in Gukesh's game, and it means a lot because he can overtake Adams as the leader of the tournament. The problem is, this is the position from the game Gilles Moussard versus Michael Adams, and Moussard had a completely winning position here, and he found the killer move. He played bishop captures on f7, but after rook captures on f7, he blundered the position. The correct way to play this is pawn to f4 or rook to b8. You have to use both of those moves, so it doesn't matter which one you play first. Point is to move the queen away from the defense of the d8 square. So after this check is given, you don't have bishop back to d8 defending. So you're going to attack the queen, and once the queen moves, now you deliver a check, and only after, let's say, rook to f8, now queen to d5 with check, forces the king away from the defense of the rook, and that's it. King h7, rook captures on f8, and you win the game. Okay, a few checks will be given, let's say, like this, but after another check, queen e2, and that's it. You're up the exchange, of course, completely winning. But in the game, queen to e6 was played, thinking that it's the exact same idea, but here Michael Adams had a surprise for Gilles Moussard. So feel free to pause the video and try to find the only move that saves the position for black. Not just saves, also wins the game, while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finding this elusive idea. Even a strong grandmaster like Gilles Moussard missed it. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's bishop to e7. Look at this elegant defensive resource that Michael played. And once Gilles Moussard saw this, it was in this position that he resigned the game. He probably thought that after this you have to play something like queen to g6, but then of course queen to e8 check forces the king away, or you block with the rook and then you lose the queen, or you move the king and then you lose the rook, and everything is winning. But after this elegant bishop to e7, there's just nothing. You can't touch the rook, you can't take the bishop because just queen captures, and it's a silly thing to miss, but it happens, and it can even happen in a classical game with plenty of time on the clock. Okay, I don't actually know how much time on the clock they had, so I will check. I don't want to trick you guys. I know that in the Gukesh game it wasn't a problem of time. But yeah, here Moussard played it. Yeah, he had a lot more time. He had 36 minutes on the clock. Michael Adams had 17 minutes. So it happens. So next time it happens in my rapid games, it can happen to anyone, it would seem. And next game, I will show the game, which one I'm talking about, the miniature of the round. So stay tuned for that. And I hope you enjoyed that one as well. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to wish a belated happy birthday to Mesume, and I would like to thank David Gasparian, Grogo and Gnome, Huga Boy on Spotify, and Drake Schaefer for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.